Hi, welcome to this week's Sketchbook tour. Once again, we're going to be looking through my current study book, and as always, this is unscripted, so expect the odd strange sentence or spot of silence, but I'll try and remain coherent. I'm trying to get a bit better at all of this. Anyway, so study book and studies, what do I mean by that? That means, to me, all of these were drawn using a references that I either source myself, but 9 times out of 10 they're from Pinterest or the Croquet Cafe for the figure stuff and the portraits. And the studies that I'm currently doing are more about me brushing up a little bit, because I'd spent a little while not drawing over the past couple of months, or certainly not drawing with a pen and paper. I also want to brush up a little bit on my visual library, but that's something that I'm going to do once I've gained a bit of that confidence back. So I'm not really pushing myself with any of these drawings, let's say. Not that they're not a challenge, but they're sort of poses or subjects that I've touched on in the past. So I'm not really, like I say, stretching myself too much. I'm also trying to build up my concentration level a little bit more, mainly because I find that sometimes I struggle to find that happy medium between having a certain amount of concentration and also being in sort of what they call a flow state. I'm either one or the other, so I'm trying to balance those two things, because I find that that's when I do my best work. So with all that out of the way, let's get into it. So I'm sticking to the same routine that I was last week, which was a study page and then a weekly challenge. So this was Monday, and the theme of the study was anatomy. So I decided on hands and hand-like things. So I've got a few paws in here as well. This is mainly because the week prior I'd done 50 hands as the challenge. So I thought, it might be best to refresh on some of the shapes. Like I say, this is a very quick overview of those sort of things. This isn't a full-blown study. This is me just refreshing a few things that I have touched on in the past. And like I say, to build up that confidence and that level of concentration that I've kind of lost. Then for the challenge for the week, it's 50 figures or gestures. So, and once again, all from the Croquet Cafe in terms of the references. Not a sponsor, but it is a site that I'd use quite often for that sort of thing. Now we're on Tuesday, so I'm trying to average at this point 3 to 4 pages. It's a little bit more relaxed than the week before. I feel like next week I might up it again, but it all depends on what I've got to do throughout the week as well. But anyway, portraits from the Croquet Cafe. I'm spending my time on these, but I'm not labouring too much. If I wanted to get things really precise, I might have to do some groundwork, some sort of underdrawing. But this is more about me getting better with pen, only using a pen, as I have for the last couple of years, really. Also, slightly out of my comfort zone with these two poses. So I do feel the need, or I'm certainly getting there when it comes to sort of pushing myself a little bit more. Then another 10 or so figures. Now these between 2 and 5 minutes each. I would like to do some quicker gesture work, I think, some proper gesture work, because I feel like some of these are still a bit sort of stiff. Maybe throwing too much concentration onto them. As I said before, there's a fine balance for me personally between concentration taking my time, but also being in that sort of flow state where I'm not overthinking things either. It's kind of a difficult thing to explain, I suppose. But through practice, I find that I get to that stage a lot quicker. Anyway, day 3 was clothing studies, fashion and clothing. Now, I think once I've got through this sketchbook, I might just focus on the one thing, or maybe I'm torn between just focusing on one thing, so saying like doing these 50 a day challenges, or doing more of an exercise, like 3 pages of certain exercises. I've been trying to cook up a couple of things over the past couple of months, but not really been having the time to draw like I am now, so I'm playing catch up. I feel like at the beginning of next year, I really want to have a couple of really dynamic and useful exercise pages where maybe I'll do a row of shapes or lines, like a warm-up, some texture work, some render. Then I might do some gesture work, then maybe a page of maybe one pose, but then try and rotate it without the use of a reference. So I'm sort of torn between 2 things. I'd love to do the latter, which is really immerse myself into these sort of things, but time is also a bit of an issue. Anyway, so this is Thursday, and we're on cars. Now, I typically despise drawing cars, but through challenging myself, I tend to find things are a little bit easier the more time you put into them. So I'm trying to sort of meet a few things head on. Now I've got a week or a week and a bit of work, and again, built up that confidence to a level where I feel like I need to challenge myself. But that's not to say that I've got a lot of tweaking to do when it comes to, again, that the understanding of certain things, a form of render. I feel like because I've not drawn too much over the past couple of months, I have lost some of that skill. And then the final day, so a week for me now is 5 days. Typically on Saturday I'll have a day off. I might just watch movies, play some video games. I might do a bit of drawing, but it depends on the mood that I'm in. I have been getting up between 5:30 and 6 in the morning to do these, so it's nice to have a day off where I don't really do that. And then Sundays is kind of spent uploading this video alongside preparing a few things for social media, but also having, the rest of the day off. So I feel like 5 days is probably enough. I'd love it to be all week. I'd love to spend, 8 hours a day solely drawing, but unfortunately I can't at this time. I need to, either do commission work or find work to do, especially in these times, because I'm sure anyone that lives in the UK is experiencing the same thing as me, and it's not a good thing. But we'll not go into politics right now. So anyway, ramble over. Final day is sort of like a flora or fauna kind of day typically for me. So I decided on tree stumps because it's always been something that I love drawing trees, and especially tree stumps. So I kind of wanted to treat myself. And it's nature, landscapes is something that I would love to revisit in a bit more depth once I'm back to where I kind of felt I was confidence level with figure and portrait. And speaking of figure, it's the last bunch. I think there's maybe 3 pages here. Yep. And some of these are a little bit rushed towards the end. Maybe 50 figures in this kind of style. I feel like might have been too many if I'd just done 25, or maybe done more of a traditional gesture. So not focusing on certain details like the face. But each week I can refresh this. It's a new challenge. You learn from the mistakes of the week before. And I'm in a stage of editing and tweaking things. And like I say, once I've done that enough, I will share the methods and the exercises that I decide on. And then hopefully next year, I really want to stick to, doing this every single day, or at least 5 days a week, and share the resources. So that was it. That's 1 week. I am a little bit ahead of myself, it tends to be the thing, especially with trying to get social media to a level where I can post every day. But I won't share any more of this. So I'm only a few days in to next week. And it's going to be more of a sort of fabric and drape kind of focused week. I'm going to do 50 clothed figures. And we'll see what happens there. I'm a little bit foggy on some of the details of next week, but it'll be much the same as the week before. And then hopefully I'll have finished this book maybe. And then, like I say, I'm going to try and do a couple of things. Either focus on one thing, or maybe focus on a few things, but in small bite-sized chunks. So we'll leave it there. As always, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you've watched the whole thing, hopefully it was interesting or useful to you. Let me know if it was. Also, let me know if there's anything I can do to improve these. Unfortunately, I'm still having to use my phone with these, so the image quality might not be as good as it could be, as with the sound, but hopefully it comes across okay. Big thank you to my Patreons who support these videos and me, typically. I'm getting to a stage where I'm going to actually start pumping some money back into these videos because I've reached a certain number of patrons. Huge thank you. I'm really trying to sort of make Patreon worth it for you, but it is taking some time. I wasn't expecting to have any patrons at this stage, so huge thank you to them. And hopefully, as of next week, I want to start live streaming, and I want to start live streaming most days. Now, for starters, it might just be on Instagram, or I might do a 50-50 between Instagram, YouTube. Eventually, it'll probably only be on YouTube, because I want to do drawing videos, and it'd be nice to interact with people while I do them. My internet speed isn't great, so we'll see how that goes, but I'm feeling fit and healthy, so I should be able to actually do it this time. And with that said, I'll leave it there. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Toodaloo.